Hi everybody, my name is just Gail and I'm coming to you from Laconia Public Library. I'm one of the guest readers for this very famous book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. I first heard this book when my grandmama read it to me when I was 11 or 12. I don't think I much understood it then, coming as it was part Hungarian and part English. But then again, I listened to it when I was in college. I understand it more, but I can't say it was ever my most favorite book. I was taught to be raised proper, so Tom Sawyer, he rifled my soul. Here I am to read you chapter 7 of Tom Sawyer. The harder Tom tried to fasten his mind on a book, the more his ideas wandered. So at last, with a sigh, and a yawn, he gave up. It seemed to him that the noon recess would never come. The air was utterly dead. There was not a breath stirring. It was the sleepiest of sleepy days. The drowsy murmur of the 25 studying scholars soothed the soul like the spell of the murmur of bees. Way off in the flaming sunshine, Cardiff Hill lifted its soft green sides through a shimmering veil of heat, tinted with the purple of distance. A few birds floated on lazy wing in the air, and no other living thing was visible but some cows, and they were asleep. Tom's heart ached to be free, or at least to have something else of interest to pass the dreary time. His hand wandered into his pocket, and his face lit up because it had a glow of gratitude that was prayer, though he did not know it. Then, furtively, the percussion cap box came out. He released the tick and put him on the long flat desk. The creature probably glowed with gratitude that amounted to a prayer too at that moment. But it was premature, for when he started to thankfully travel off, Tom turned him aside with a pen and made him take a new direction. Tom's bosom friend sat next to him, suffering just as Tom had been. Now he was deeply and gratefully interested in the entertainment in the instant. His bosom friend was Joe Harper. The two boys were sworn friends all week and embattled enemies on Saturdays. Joe took a pen out of his lapel and began to assist in exercising the prisoner. The spot grew in interest momently. Soon Tom said that they were interfering with each other and neither getting the fullest benefit of the tick. So he put Joe's slate on the desk and drew a line down the middle of it from top to bottom. Now, he said, as long as he's on your side, you can stir him up and I'll let him alone. But if you let him go away and get on my side, you got to leave him alone as long as I can keep him from crossing over. All right then, go ahead, start him up. The tick escaped from Tom presently and crossed the equator. Joe harassed him a while and then he got away and crossed back again. The exchange of the space occurred often. When one boy was worrying the tick with absorbing interest, the other would look along with interest as strong, and the two heads bowed together over the slate, and the two souls dead to all things around them. At last, it seemed to settle and abide by Joe. The tick tried this and that, and went this way and the other course, and got as excited and as anxious as the boys themselves. But time and time again, he would just have victory in his very grasp, so to speak, and Tom's fingers would be twitching to begin. Joe's pen would deftly head him off and keep possession. At last Tom could stand it no longer. The temptation was too strong. So he reached out and lent a hand with his pen. Joe was angry in a minute, said he. Tom, you leave him alone. Only want to stir him up a little bit, Joe. No, sir, ain't fair. You just leave him alone. Blame it. I won't go stir him up too much. Let him alone, I tell you. I won't. You shall. He's on my side of the line. Look here, Joe Harper. Whose is that tick? I don't care whose tick it is. He's on my side of the line. You shan't touch him. Well, I just bid I will. He's my tick, and I'll do whatever I blame please with him or die. A tremendous whack came down on Tom's shoulders and his duplicate on Joe's. And for the space of 2 minutes, the dust continued to fly from the jackets while the whole school enjoyed it. The boys had been too absorbed to notice the hush that had stolen upon the school a while before when the master had started tiptoeing down the room and he stood over them. He contemplated a good part of the performance before he contributed his bit of variety to it. When school broke up at noon, Tom flew to Becky Thatcher and whispered in her ear, "Put on your bonnet and let on like you're going home. And then when you get to the corner, give the rest of them the slip, turn down through the lane, and come back to me." And turn down through the lane and come back. I'll go the other way and come over the same way. Sorry about that. So one went off with the group of scholars and the other with the other. And then in a little while, they met up at the bottom of the lane. And when they reached the school, they had it all to themselves. They sat together with a slate before them. And Tom gave Becky the pencil and held her hand in his, guiding it, and so created another surprising house. When interest in art began to wane, the two fell to talking. Tom was swimming in bliss. He said, "Do you love rats?" "No, I hate them." "Well, I do too, the live ones. But the dead ones to swing around your head with a string? No, I don't care for rats much anyway. What I like is chewing gum." "Oh, I should say so. Wish I had some now." "Oh, do you? I've got some. I'll chew it a little, but you can borrow it and give it back to me." That was agreeable, so they chewed it about, dangling their legs between the bench in excess of contentment. "Was you ever at the circus?" said Tom. "Yes, and my pa's gonna take me sometime again if I'm good." "I've been to the circus 3 or 4 times, lots of times." Church ain't shucks to a circus. There's things going on in a circus all the time. I'm gonna be a clown when I grow up." "Oh, are you? That'll be nice. They're so lovely. Oh, all spotted up." "Yup, that's so. And they get slathers of money. Almost $1 a day, Ben Rogers says." "Say, Becky, was you ever engaged?" What's that?" "Why, engaged to be married." "No." "Would you like to?" "I reckon so. I don't know. What's it like?" "Like? Well, it ain't like anything. You only tell a boy you won't never, ever have anybody but him, ever, 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 and then you kiss. And that's all. Anybody can do it." "Kiss? What do you kiss for?" "Why, you know, everybody always does it." "Everybody?" "Well, yes, everybody that's fell in love with each other. Do you remember what I wrote on that slate?" Yes. "What was it?" "I shan't tell you." "Yes. Shall I tell you?" "Yes, but some other time." "No, now." "Not now. Tomorrow." Oh, no. Now. Please, Becky. I'll whisper it. I'll whisper it ever so easy. Becky hesitating. Tom took the silent for consent and passed his arm around her waist and whispered the tale ever so softly with his mouth close to her ear. And he said, now you whisper it to me, just the same. She resisted it for a while, and then she said, you turn your face away so I can't see it. Then I will. But you must never tell anybody. Will you, Tom? No, you won't, will you? He turned his face away. She bent timidly around until her breath curled his ears and whispered, I love you. Then she sprang away and ran around the desks and benches with Tom after her and took a refuge in the corner at last with her little apron on her face. Tom clasped it about her neck and pleaded, now, Becky, it's all done, all over but the kiss. Don't you be afraid of that. It ain't anything at all. Please, Becky. And he tugged her apron in her hands. By and by, she gave up, and she let her hands drop. And her face, all glowing with the struggle, came up and submitted. Tom kissed the red lips. Now it's all done, Becky. Always after this, you know you ain't never to love anybody but me, and you ain't never to marry anybody but me. Never, ever, and forever, will you? No, I'll never love anybody but you, Tom. And I'll never marry anybody but you, Tom. And you ain't so to marry anybody but me, neither. Certainly, of course. That's part of it. It's always coming to school or when we're going home, you're to walk with me. And then when anybody ain't looking, you choose me and I choose you at parties, because that's what you do when you're engaged. So nice. I never heard of it before. Oh, it's ever so gay. Why, me and Amy Lawrence. The big eyes told Tom his blunder and he stopped confused. Oh, Tom, this ain't the first time you've been engaged. The child began to cry. Tom said, oh, don't cry, Becky. I don't care for her no more. Yes, you do, Tom. You know it. Tom tried to put his arm about her neck and she pushed him away and turned her face to the wall and went on crying. Tom tried again with soothing words in his mouth and was repulsed again. Then his pride got up and strode away and he went outside. He stood about restless and uneasy for a while, glancing at the door every now and then, hoping she would repent and come find him. But she did not. Then he began to feel badly and fear he was in the wrong. It was a hard struggle for him to make new advances, but he nerved himself up and entered. She was still standing in the back corner, sobbing, the way her face to the wall. Tom's heart smote him. He went to her and stood a moment, not knowing exactly how to proceed. Then he said hesitantly, Becky, I don't care for anybody but you. No reply, just sobs. Becky, pleadingly. Becky, won't you say something? More sobs. Tom got out his chiefest jewel, a brass knob from a shop and from the top of an andiron, and he passed it around to her so that she could see it and said, please, Becky, please, won't you take it? She struck it to the floor. Then Tom marched out of the house and over the hills and far away to return to school no more that day. Presently, Becky began to suspect. She ran out the door. He wasn't inside. She flew around to the play yard and he was not there. Then she called, Tom, come back, Tom, Tom. She listened intently, but there was no answer. She had no companions but silence and loneliness. She sat down to cry again and upbraid herself, but by this time the scholars began to gather in, and she had to hide her griefs and still her broken heart and take up with the long cross of the long dreary afternoon, with none among the strangers about her to exchange sorrows with.